We drive them every day, blind to the foundation they've created, deaf to the story they tell. 50,000 miles of asphalt, enough to circle the globe twice. That's how many miles of freeways, boulevards, drives, alleys, and thoroughfares make up the greater Los Angeles area. And it's these streets that bind us, connect us more strongly than any other loyalty. As diverse as it is expansive, LA is my home. But like so many of us, I'm not from here. We came here for what these streets offer, anything and everything. There isn't one identity that defines LA. That would be too boring for a place known for its glamour, grit, and creativity. Architect Frank Lloyd Wright once said, "Tip the world over on its side and everything loose will land in Los Angeles." And that's what this place is all about. Millions of people coexisting with one another in manners sometimes violent, often beautiful, but never sterile. It's a road we travel together. Los Angeles, California, the next stop on a journey. A journey that has taken me from war zones in Afghanistan and Iraq to the NFL. In 2016, I stood beside a man exercising a right I've fought for, a right I believe every American has. But in many ways, the anthem controversy clouded a message of justice, one shared in many forms by players and people across all NFL communities. So that's my mission, a mission to explore NFL communities, the people and culture that make them great, and bring to light the issues that matter to them most. And what a place to start. By 2020, this stadium will be complete. A modern palace to the game with a price tag of an estimated $5 billion. But modern LA is only recently an NFL community. In 1946, the defending NFL champs, the Cleveland Grams, manifested destiny and moved to the City of Angels. In '82, the Oakland Raiders moved here as well. And then in 1995, both teams left. And for over 20 years, the second largest city in America was without an NFL franchise. Now, with the Rams and Chargers biding time until the completion of this stadium, LA's relationship with football is once again rekindled. But like any relationship, it can sometimes be complicated. To set the table, I met with Sal Gonzalez, host of NPR's There Goes the Neighborhood, here in Inglewood, a community just east of LAX Airport.
LA, because it's so vast, right, and it's so big, and it's so hard to get your arms around, it's a city that always surprises you, but also challenges you to get to know it.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's not like a Manhattan or San Francisco, where the beauty is kind of obvious. You see it right from the get-go, like, oh, I'm in a wonderful place. In LA, you got to search it out a little bit more,
It's a
right?
tough place to just visit.
Exactly. It's a tough place to
live
visit.
here.
And when you live here, I know people have been here their entire lives, and they've just scratched the surface.
Right.
About what makes the city tick, what it's all about, and all that it has to offer.
Well, what does Inglewood have to offer?
Right now, it has that to offer. For better or worse, and I gotta be honest, that's the future of Inglewood.
Right.
And that's what the civic conversation is about in Inglewood, is how is that stadium, and how are the teams that are gonna play there gonna affect this city, for
Right.
better or worse? And that's the question here. And really the question for all of Los Angeles, because this is gonna have an echo effect beyond just the borders of Inglewood itself.
My next stop, less than a mile from the new stadium, is Miss B's M&M Soul Food.
It's thick. Pretty good.
With the neighborhood once again rapidly changing around her, Beverly Brinson, or Miss B, is fighting to continue to do what she loves.
What's it like to feed the community?
Oh, I love it. People will say they want the large pan of this, large pan of that, because they don't want to cook.
Right.
And I tell them, I don't want you to cook. Throw away the stove, okay, and make the kitchen a bedroom.
So what's the situation you're in now?
Well, right now, the owner of the building came to me and he told me, Miss B, I have an investor that's interested in this location, and he wants to pay $4.2 million for this place.
Wow.
Wow is not the word, okay? Especially when About 8 years ago, I was trying to buy the building,
Right.
and he wanted 775,000,
my
and the bank would only let me have 600. So that's a big wow. And all of that is because of the stadium.
I mean, it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, it's
The
business.
Olympics, the NFL, and all that. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also it can be tough for
Yeah,
people. you
yeah,
know?
especially for us little people.
So Sip and Sonder, you guys have sort of a different business model.
A large aspect of our business and our model is to be supportive of Black creatives. And this is, to me, a neighborhood of Black creatives. And creatives being a very broad term, there's a particular reason to have Sip and Sonder within that environment. It is very specific, and Inglewood is very purposefully chosen for that reason.
So what are you doing directly to preserve the Black community?
We would love to see Market Street be the 3rd Street Promenade in Inglewood with businesses owned by the community. That would be great.
That would be great. With everything going on with the stadium and all that, what changes have you seen in the community?
Right here in this location, I've seen more people.
That look like me?
Yeah, walking with their dogs.
Are you worried about the loss of culture?
Yeah, if you're not owning the space, if the businesses don't reflect what the community once was, then I don't see how you keep the culture if you're not purposefully moving it in that direction. To me, the question isn't, should we have nice restaurants and coffee shops in Inglewood? What I pose back is, how are we empowering the current community to do those things?
Right.
Like, there's not a pushback of change. There's a pushback in making sure as that change happens, the community is empowered to take advantage of it.
Right. More of a transformation than a change. Yeah, a development within what's existing. You don't want to push out what is there, what that community is,
Right.
who that community is. You know what I mean? You want to give them the opportunity to shine. And if like money's coming in, and if it's white people coming in and all that to spend the money, great. But the community is by and large a Black community, and it should maintain that.
Each stroke of Christy Sandoval's brush comes with a message. More than color on a canvas or the side of a building, her work represents empowerment for women, her Hispanic community, and herself.
I was able to work on this piece with the Rams. I do this sarape thing, and I feel like it's part of me and my culture and what I do. Being a part of LA, like it's something that's a part of like where I grew up.
It's cool.
And I try to make him look like he's running really fast.
He always runs really fast. Todd is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's stupid fast.
An unquestionably LA artist, I went to her studio in San Fernando, 30 miles north of Inglewood and deep in what's known as the Valley, to learn more about the mission behind her work. With over 20 murals across Los Angeles, Christy's work has become a reflection of the city's issues and an outlet for her to represent the Hispanic community.
Why is that so important to Los Angeles culture?
The culture in Los Angeles is very much Mexican American. It's very much like Chicanos and Latinx. And I feel that without this culture, Los Angeles wouldn't be what it is.
Right.
When I paint murals, I have to think about, the history and everything else. Like I can't just put up a mural that's only about me and what I'm going through.
But
I don't want to.
That's good. No, that's good.
Yeah,
I
I feel my responsibility as a muralist is to talk about these global issues, kind of my critique on the world, like what are these social issues that we're going through.
you talk about social justice. How does feminism, how does this fight for immigrant rights, like how does it affect you and why is it so important to you?
I have a 7-year-old daughter, and so having her grow up in a world where she feels safe and is able to speak up, that was an even bigger push for me to put this in my work and to speak about it and to even model in myself what that looks like, because she's watching everything that I do.
I mean, that's a great way to empower women and to empower everybody. What you learn through playing on a team, being a part of something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
That brotherhood and friendship and like camaraderie. Same with like art, like creativity, like it can translate to anything. And, that's why I think it's important.
In the early 1900s, motion picture companies began to move west, eventually creating what we now know as Hollywood. This is our next stop. And when you're here, it's not always how you'd imagine. No paparazzi, no red carpets. Just down the famous Sunset Strip is Hollywood Veterans Center, a living facility for veterans with difficulty adjusting to civilian life, an issue rarely getting the attention it deserves. But first, coffee. Rams Pro Bowl offensive lineman Andrew Whitworth, whose best friend and college roommate Lee Deal was killed in Iraq while serving in the Navy, sat down with myself and two veterans aided by the shelter.
I thought about this last night, man. I don't know if I've ever showed anybody this, but I literally carry Lee's picture in my wallet. Ever since the day I got it when he died, I've literally kept it since I went to his funeral, and his mom gave me these little pictures she had. It's really one of the driving things that makes me remember why I should be grateful, remember what things are really important in life. And that's why for me, the military stuff and finding ways to help is so huge, because it's we're talking about people that are providing a service to everyone in our country, and then they're coming back and there's no one there to hey, all right, now it's time for us to show you, hey, here's how you can be successful here and help you here and provide these opportunities.
The support's there. It's just a lot of us, I think we don't know where to start. As soon as you're done, the only thing you're thinking about is, I should still be there. I miss being a part of that. I'm not worried about myself and my own transition. I'm just worried about that disconnection or whatever from the team. I mean, there's a ton of veterans in LA. With that comes a lot of, veteran issues. Homelessness is one of those things, and I think more than homelessness, it's a transition, struggle with transition. We all have different experience with that. It's guys like Lee, they keep a lot of us going, and the reason I think a lot of us are still here.
How it was for us was we knew what we were getting into. I lost 8 in Iraq, 21 in Afghanistan, and then now it's been 42 to suicide. So when you start seeing your buddies offing themselves, and it's the easy way out, and yeah, we can judge or we can feel a certain way, but then that starts getting into our own head too, and where we feel hopeless. When I attempted the suicide, nobody got me the help that I needed. And that was that moment that I sat there and said, okay, I need a new beginning. I need to do this for myself, for my family. So I actually checked myself into the house that we're about to go see.
You've been out 2 years, and you're trying to get out.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out right now. I think back then I couldn't identify that I needed the proper help, and I wasn't ready for it if it had come to me. That house really opened up a lot of resources for me as far as me getting help. There was a time where I couldn't speak in front of people, where I didn't look them in their eyes, where I would look down.
Denver, and I remember,
yeah,
you know Matt longer than me, but
yeah,
the first time I met you, not that you couldn't speak, but
the
confidence you have now, and
it was
it's
difficult.
Different, man.
Just being where I'm at now is just allowed me to slow down and tackle some of those issues and focus on healing and really working to build myself up and address some of the stuff that I could do to move forward from that. So I'm just grateful.
What's designed to be a temporary respite, the goal of this center is to help veterans obtain permanent housing, financial security, and a personal support system.
I came here from off the streets. So just having a chest to put my clothes in and a mini fridge or whatever, just having a bed, this is a blessing.
But after walking these halls, the conversation quickly went to football.
Everybody's talking about the anthem. Everybody's talking about the anthem. Well, it's not given its true light, which is it's just to bring awareness to a social situation that really is a problem.
Well, that's part of the beauty of, everybody being their own person and having their own thing and being accepted. You're not just lured to people that only think like you. You should want to be someone who is pulled to someone that might have a different thought, and finding a way to be all right, you can think differently than I about a subject, but we can still appreciate one another for our view and respect one another. At the same time, you have to be aware that you may be offending someone in that situation.
Well, because you can say all day long it's not about this or it's not about that, but you don't get to choose how people perceive things.
I was actually with Nate when we actually found out. We were all pissed off. We spent probably a good 2 hours working out, pissed off. We were mad. And then the next day, he got a call from Colin. We all sat there and we were mad at Nate. We didn't understand. Wait, Nate was supposed to go over there and get him to put his hand over his heart and this and that. But then I heard what the conversation was, and it was like, okay, you're right. We do actually take a knee for the flag, but that's paying respect to somebody. And that was what Colin was coming back and saying. It was no disrespect, to the military and this and that. My other opinion on it is you also get paid to play. If I were to do that at my job, I'd be fired, flat out. I'd be gone. Yes, use your platform, but at the same time, you got a job to do it.
It's a catch-22 though.
That's where it's at.
That time is used because there will be no other moment during a game, before a game, that will garner that kind of attention. Protests are meant to be uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable moment.
I think it's unfortunate in some ways too, though, that it's painted an athlete picture that's just not accurate. I would love to challenge people to tell me the professions in our country of jobs that a higher percentage of them do stuff in the community, give to their communities, are daily a part of their communities than athletes. And I think that it's unfortunate that some people have taken it so far to be like, well, athletes make money and they disrespect our country, that type of deal.
Well, they say
mentality.
too that they don't do it. Where are they at? What are they doing? Like,
Yeah,
they don't do
exactly.
anything
It's
on
like,
the field. But it's like,
dude,
if you look it up, they
if
do.
you
They do a lot.
if you go find, go pick any team in the league and go see what their kids do on Mondays and Tuesdays. They're 2 days off during the season and in the off season.
They're involved in something. They're trying to be a part of the solution. They're recognizing a problem. They're bringing a light to it, bringing attention to it. But it doesn't end there. You know what I mean? They're taking action too.
In some ways, it's like all these people on their sides, but you know what? If at the end of the day, it made some people really ask themselves, like, hey, well, what is important about the anthem to me? And
I think a lot of people in service too.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, what is it about it that makes it personal?
Right.
You simply can't do Los Angeles without food. A city whose palate is as diverse as its population. Just west of downtown is Koreatown, home to the largest Korean population outside of Asia. What's now the hot trend with lines out the door, a Sunday afternoon game is decidedly more reserved. I sat with Brian Chung, an old friend, and Mona Holmes, a writer for LA Eater, to talk about the changing neighborhood.
First of all, Korean barbecue is one of my favorite foods, if not my favorite food. But Koreatown is also a huge part of LA.
It's really no longer a secret if you're from LA. Like, no matter, what your background is, like, people know Koreatown. But it is surprising when you
I didn't know when I moved here.
Yeah, when you leave
Before.
LA, people don't know about it, It was like our little secret. And folks like you that have been kind of like externally coming in and talking about it, and it's like, hey guys, there's a little secret and it's freaking delicious. This place is becoming super gentrified.
There's a lot more to Koreatown than just Korean restaurants. Like you walk just down here to the Line Hotel, which is just this gorgeous marvel of a hotel for me. Cassell's around the corner. There's a food hall going in down the street, and a good percentage of those tenants are not going to be a Korean restaurant, so it's absolutely a destination.
Yeah, Koreatown is just changing. Like, every time I come out here, it seems like it's a different place. New shops are opening up, like old favorite spots are closing down, but this town was built by immigrants, right? And there's a certain amount of resiliency that those guys had because they spent all that effort and time and resources to build the place, and then during the riots in the 90s, almost the entire town burned down. And, they didn't, really look for outside resources, but they just kind of rolled their sleeves up and said, let's build this town back and let's build it better, and like the $6 Million Man, and it kind of became what it is now, where now it's enjoyed by so many people other than just Korean Americans.
Has Koreatown adopted football yet? Just from what I would think, we're out here during the game, and I don't see people watching the game. Has Koreatown really grasped that, like they have baseball?
I don't think not yet. Korean culture or Korean community as of right now hadn't really had a reason to embrace pro football quite yet, right? And there were really no heroes that we can get behind. Chargers had the Korean kicker for a little bit, but he was missing all those field goals.
That's right.
Yeah, right?
And happens. A lot of kickers get
But
cut.
I mean, like, the Dodgers became such a staple of Koreatown when, you know, back in the 90s, they brought in Channel Park, and now we have Hyunjin Ryu and guys that we can get behind. I mean, this place during a Dodgers game, it's crazy, it's packed. And so hopefully maybe something like that will happen in the NFL and the community can start getting behind it.
Thank you both. Old friends, new
Thanks for
friends.
having us.
Cheers.
Watts, known to most as the home of the 1965 and 1992 riots. Watts was once a post-war working-class African-American neighborhood in the 1950s. This is our final stop. Located in South Los Angeles, Watts is now home to an estimated 59 active gangs and has one of the highest rates of violent crime per capita in the city. The residents' relationship with the LAPD has been contentious, and today it remains strained. But one group of LAPD officers is looking to transform the narrative.
Hey, watch the ball, watch the ball!
Since 2011, officers of the Southeast Division have used football to enact change.
Go, 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 go!
Get to the ball.
Watts Bears, it's not a football program.
Good job, Junior.
It's a hidden agenda that we have. We save football for the kids to get them out. 1, 2, 3.
Run to the ball.
Trying to change the neighborhood, trying to change the way, you know, people perceive that Watts is, and it's not all about that. It's great people within the city.
For sure.
They just need a chance.
What this team is to me is family. I love the coaches. They're like my second family.
How important is it to you not only being a father figure maybe to some of these kids or a big brother even, or is it also some of the community and police relations?
We're part of a unit called CSP, which is Community Safety Partnership. And the whole idea about that unit is to go inside these housing developments. And our assignment is go in there, do foot beats, walk around, talk to people, create programs like the Watts Bears to get the community outside of the developments, come out, watch the kids play, and be more active in the community. There's people in Watts that know me, like personally, like know me, because there's a relationship now. We're just trying to show that, you know, we're normal. There's a lot of kids that come to me like, you're a cop? Wow, I didn't even know that. We come out here to practice and they see us, they see us like this. You know, there might be a kid or two on this team that doesn't even know we're a cop.
If I stay killing the quarterback, I'm really going to be at the touchdown.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we don't want.
What we're fighting is when they leave us. We're just praying to God, man, that they took something from us. And some are staying course, and some are drifting off. We just lost one of our kids. He was murdered about 6 months ago. That's the hardship, you guys would say, that we're having.
Yeah, it's a battle for us.
It's a battle.
I mean, we still to this day have people from the community saying, don't mess with the police.
You know, it's so much negative police stuff around the country. And that is the hardest thing, to have someone talk to me and not look at my badge.
It's a stereotype.
Yes.
You know, people talk about stereotypes a lot in our country these days, you know what I mean? And one of the biggest hurdles law enforcement is facing. Because I felt that way in the military when I was overseas. You know what I mean? It was hard for a lot of the local people to understand I'm a human being. I mean, I'm wearing this camouflage, I have this body armor and this gun. I obviously have a job to do, but I'm trying to do the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. And, you know, until you can communicate that and have a conversation like we're having right now, you know, people, you know, they don't see those things. It's hard.
There's more good cops trying to do programs like this than there is these bad cops that, you know, get all the limelight and everything that's going on. And I understand.
How much does it hurt you when you see law enforcement make the wrong decisions, whether it's a lack of training or just I mean, there's dirtbags in every line of work. You know what I mean? Like, how much does that hurt you? Because it's got to affect the work you're doing here.
It sets us back. Potentially we can lose kids because of stuff like that. Anything that can hurt my program, hurt the kids that are in the program, it does hurt me.
If you could have this thing go anywhere and do anything, what would it be?
Just get bigger, more kids, more community support. I want more people in the community to buy in. Give us a chance. I always say I take that badge off and just give me a chance for Mr. Thompson or Mr. Holloman or Soto. Give these guys a chance.
There you go, there you go.
That's you, Corey, that's you, that's you.
Hey, good tackle.
Jonathan Franklin knows Los Angeles. The native Angelino grew up not far from Watts and went on to rush for more yards than any other Bruin in UCLA history. But a career-ending neck injury during his rookie season with the Packers forced Franklin to change his life's path and return to his community.
I mean, I can remember being this age, and I didn't grow up in a community like this, so I'm not going to pretend to relate to that. Right. But it's an impressionable time, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you start to kind of pick your role models and the people that you look up to, and a lot of that's just what you're exposed to. For these coaches, for these guys to, take this time away from the badge and do this is so impactful.
And that's the power of football. If you go to our games on Sunday, you look in the bowl, you'll see a diverse audience, coming together for one common goal. For these officers to go in that community and break those barriers and these parents to trust them, it's transformational. They are reconditioning the minds of these communities and transforming it for a greater good. A big reason why the Rams are a part of this is really about bridging that gap with the law enforcement, and not just this community, but in various communities throughout SoCal and probably this entire nation, because this country needs it.
And the road goes on. Each day as we drive these streets and pass strangers on the highways, I hope we feel a little bit more connected, that we pause for just a second to realize that there are people from all neighborhoods, races, and backgrounds working every day to bring awareness to complex issues that can affect us all. Even in a city of seemingly anonymous asphalt, we are neighbors. We are connected by geography, by the love of a football team, by the issues we face. And this road we all travel together is just so much better when we feel that connection. It's really the first step in making the journey a little less lonely.